Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that every single one of us does or tries to do, sleep.
Right.
And you've probably heard all the basics, get your 8 hours, make the room dark.
Yeah.
But our sources today, they feature analysis from a leading neuroscientist, and they really push beyond that.
They do. We're getting into some cutting-edge stuff.
We're talking about real optimization and some serious myth-busting.
Exactly. So if you're looking to get right to the point, we're moving past that foundational advice. We're going to dig into new research that shows why some popular supplements might be, well, useless.
Okay.
And more importantly, how focusing on just one variable, one that most people ignore, can actually cut your mortality risk in a dramatic way.
Our mission today is pretty simple.
Yeah.
Give you the essential updates and 3 critical actions you can start using tonight. Because the science is clear on this. How you sleep will literally, quote, change the very DNA that spells out your daily health narrative.
That's right.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Where do most people start when they want better sleep?
The supplement aisle.
The supplement aisle. And the big one right now is magnesium. It seems to have just exploded in popularity. But what does the science actually say?
For most people, taking a common magnesium supplement like an oxide or a citrate,
Yeah, the ones you see everywhere.
it's basically just producing, and this is a quote, expensive urine.
Okay, why? What's the problem?
The core issue is that sleep is a process that's, it's produced by the brain. And most of those common forms of magnesium, they can't get to the brain. They fail to cross the blood-brain barrier.
So it's a delivery problem. It's not that magnesium is useless. It's that the type you're taking just isn't getting to where it needs to go.
Precisely. Now, there is some promising research on one specific form, magnesium L308, that seems to be able to cross that barrier.
Okay.
But, and this is a huge caveat for everyone, if you're already what we call magnesium normative, so you aren't deficient,
Right.
adding more isn't going to help you sleep better. It's like trying to get your blood oxygen saturation past 100%. It's just you're already maxed out.
That makes perfect sense. It only helps if there's a deficit to begin with. Okay, so moving from a mineral to the hormone everyone talks about, melatonin. People treat it like a sleeping pill.
And that's the fundamental misunderstanding. Melatonin is not a sleep generator.
It's not.
No. It's a hormone that simply tells your brain and your body when it's nighttime. Think of it like the starter pistol at a race.
So it just signals the start time.
It signals the start time, but it doesn't run the race for you.
Wait, I have to push back a little on that. If it's not a sedative, why do so many people feel like they get drowsy right after taking a high dose? Is that just a really powerful placebo effect?
Well, it can be, but the data is really what tells the story here. If you look at the big meta-analyses, melatonin only helps you fall asleep about 3.4 minutes faster.
That's nothing.
It's practically nothing. And it increases your sleep efficiency by only about 2.2%. What's really concerning, though, is this trend towards really high doses, 10, even 20 milligrams.
What's the problem with taking that much?
That's what we call a super physiological dose.
Meaning?
It means it's far, far more than your body would ever naturally produce. So you risk confusing your brain in the morning. Melatonin is the chemical signal of pitch black darkness.
Right.
If you wake up and you still have high levels of it circulating, you're going to get that brain fog because your body is basically being tricked into thinking it's still the middle of the night.
So if you are going to use it, what's the recommended dose?
The sweet spot is somewhere between 0.1 to 3 milligrams. And really, you should only be using it for things like jet lag or very specific circadian rhythm disorders.
Okay, so we've covered the chemistry, the things we put in our bodies. What about the behaviors? The big one everyone talks about is blue light from our screens.
The focus on blue light, I think, is a bit of a red herring.
Really?
Well, blue light can suppress melatonin, that's true. But the far bigger issue is what these devices are actually doing to your attention.
They're designed to keep you engaged.
They're attention capture devices. They are ruthlessly designed to fleece your attention economy. And that acts as a powerful mute button on your natural feelings of sleepiness.
So it's not the light spectrum so much as the activation. The doom scrolling, arguing online, checking that last email. That's the real villain.
Exactly. It's the psychological arousal. And this is especially potent for certain groups. If you're someone who is prone to anxiety or you're highly impulsive, these devices can basically hold your attention hostage.
So if magnesium and high-dose melatonin aren't the answer, what is the framework we should be using?
We need to think about the 4 macros of good sleep. I call it QQRT.
QQRT. Okay, what's that stand for?
Quantity, quality, regularity, and timing. And you have to think of them like the legs of a chair. If one of them is unstable, the whole thing just collapses.
Let's start with quantity. We all hear 7 to 9 hours. What's the latest on that?
So 7 hours is the absolute minimum you need to survive.
To survive.
Yes, and we define that based on avoiding the risk of premature death. We know that short sleep is a predictor of all-cause mortality, and some research shows it can distort the activity of over 700 genes.
Wow. Okay, so surviving on 7 is not the same as thriving.
Not at all.
And what about quality? How do we know if the sleep we're getting is actually any good?
Quality really comes down to two main metrics. First, continuity. Is your sleep fragmented? We aim for a sleep efficiency of 85% or higher.
Meaning you're actually asleep for 85% of the time you're in bed.
That's right. And the second metric is the power of your deep, non-REM, slow brain waves. Those are crucial for restoration.
Okay, that brings us to regularity. I know I'm guilty of trying to catch up on weekends,
Yeah.
but the sources called the data on this stunning.
The findings are astonishing, and this is really where the new science is. There was a huge UK biobank study, something like 60,000 people.
Okay.
And they defined highly regular individuals as people who go to bed and wake up within a plus or minus 15-minute window.
That's a tight window. What did they find when they compared that group to people with, chaotic schedules?
The highly regular group had a staggering 49% decreased risk of all-cause mortality.
49%.
A 49% decreased risk, and a 57% reduction in risk for heart and metabolic diseases compared to the least regular group.
That's massive.
It is. We actually compared quantity and regularity in the same analysis, and regularity beat out quantity in predicting long-term mortality risks.
Wow. So that consistency, that 15-minute window, might actually be more important than hitting exactly 8 hours some nights.
For your long-term health, yes. That consistency acts as a powerful anchor for your brain's master 24-hour clock. It keeps everything else in your body regulated.
Okay, that regularity is king point is huge. Let's talk about the consequences of breaking it. Say someone consistently cheats themselves out of the last 2 hours of sleep in the morning. What's happening?
You pay a very steep price for that, and usually the currency is REM sleep.
REM sleep.
Yeah. You see, we cycle through different stages of sleep all night. Light non-REM, deep non-REM, and then up to REM. But the ratio of those stages changes.
How so?
The second half of the night, and especially those last 2 hours, is disproportionately rich in REM sleep. So if you miss 2 hours of an 8-hour night, you might lose 50 to 70% of your total REM.
50 to 70% from just 2 hours.
That's right.
So what is REM actually doing for us that makes that loss so critical?
REM sleep is often described as emotional first aid.
Emotional first aid. I like that.
It's basically overnight therapy. It's the only time in a 24-hour period where your brain completely shuts off noradrenaline, which is a stress chemical.
Okay.
And this allows the brain to reprocess emotional memories in a safe neurochemical environment. It strips the emotional charge from the memory so you wake up with wisdom, not the trauma.
That is fantastic motivation to stay in bed. Okay, let's give our listeners the 3 big actionable steps they can take tonight based on all of this.
First one, a digital detox. At least 1 hour before bed, focus on reducing activation. Put the phone away, stop engaging. It doesn't matter if you have a blue light filter on.
Got it. Second, regularity is king. Go to bed and wake up at the same time, even on the weekends. Anchor that master clock. It pays massive dividends in mortality risk.
And the third action,
Dramatic light and dark management. We are a dark-deprived society. Set an alarm 1 hour before your bedtime to dramatically dim the lights in your home. We're talking below 30 to 50 lux, and use warm yellow light.
and what does that do?
That simple trick was shown in studies to increase REM sleep by an incredible 18%.
That's a huge gain for such a simple change. Okay, let's talk about people who do all this, but they still struggle. They get into bed and their brain just turns on, that classic insomnia.
Right, what we call conditioned arousal. You've learned to associate your bed with being awake and anxious.
So what's the tactic there?
The 20-minute rule. If you've been in bed trying to sleep for 20 minutes, you have to get out.
Get out of bed. Get out of bed, go to another dimly lit room, and only return when you feel sleepy again. You have to break that learned association.
And what if you wake up in the middle of the night, say it's 3 a.m.?
First rule, do not look at the clock.
9 out.
It just reinforces the anxiety, and it can actually train your brain to wake up at that specific time. Instead, use a cognitive distraction technique. Box breathing, a body scan, or take yourself on a very detailed mental walk.
Okay, finally, you mentioned a new class of sleeping medication that's a big step beyond drugs like Ambien. What's the latest in sleep medicine?
We're now in an era of what you could call Web 3.0 sleep medication. These are the DORAs
The
drugs.
DORAs. What's different about them?
The mechanism is completely different. They aren't sedatives that just flood your brain to stop it from firing.
Hmm.
Instead, they work way down in the brainstem to dial down the volume on the wakefulness chemical, a thing called orexin.
So they're not forcing you to be unconscious. They're just turning down the awake signal so that natural sleep can take over.
That's a perfect way to put it. They let natural sleep emerge.
And do we know if this is genuinely restorative sleep?
Crucially, yes. Research showed that these drugs not only helped people sleep longer, but they significantly increased the brain's cleansing of Alzheimer's proteins, beta amyloid, and tau.
Oh.
So it proved that the sleep they induced was adaptive, it was useful, unlike some of the older sedatives, which actually reduced that vital cleansing process.
This deep dive has really shifted my perspective on sleep. So to summarize, regularity is absolutely king. Ditch the high-dose melatonin and remember that the cost of not sleeping is just staggering.
It is. It distorts over 700 of your genes.
It's the ultimate upstream determinant of your downstream health.
Absolutely. And here's a thought to leave you with. Scientists have recently discovered the existence of genetic short sleepers.
Genetic short sleepers.
Yes, these are very rare individuals who can genuinely thrive on as little as 6.25 hours of sleep a night. They have genes that make their sleep incredibly dense and efficient, and they have a really robust wake drive. Their genes basically zip file 8 hours of sleep down into 6.
That sounds like a superpower.
It is. Now, if we can understand that and maybe one day engineer that kind of efficiency, we could reduce the global health burden of sleep loss. But it raises a really important question.
Which is?
What happens when 6 hours becomes the new benchmark for health? The fear is we'll just be back fighting the same battle, as human nature will inevitably push people to try and function on 4. So the question is, how far will we push the limits of necessary sleep, and what will be the inevitable trade-off?